Okay, everyone, welcome to the podcast. Kendra and I are just wrapping up a training for our VIP community, and we kind of got on the topic of alcohol. So we just thought, let's carry it on through. Let's keep talking about alcohol. And Kendra, I don't know about you, it's Super Bowl weekend. Everybody gets a little crazy on Super Bowl. What are your plans? What are you doing?
Well, I'm not a football person, not a football fan. So Mike's birthday is this week. So he turned 50. So
That's
we're
a
going to
big
do a
one.
little celebration. Yeah, we're going to do a little celebration at his mom's house that day. And it was so funny because she's like, well, the Super Bowl. And I was like, no, we won't be watching it or going to any. I like to tune in for the halftime show and the commercials, and that's it.
Yeah, I actually don't know who's playing at all. Like I don't even know if I'm still up to date on the NFL teams in general. I don't know
There's
if
some names.
names.
Yeah, there's names I haven't heard of.
Yeah, like I don't know what the Washington
I
football
know.
team is
I
called.
said, who are the Commanders? I don't know. That's
Are they
Washington now.
Commanders?
The
Okay.
Commanders,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I'm not like, I don't care really, but we will go to a Super Bowl party for the kids. The kids, like they have friends who like the Super Bowl and their families have invited us. So yeah, I think it'll be fun, but it is not something I follow.
That's fun. I almost think they should really schedule that. Like it would be perfect if they could do that on the Sunday before President's Day, so that all those people that drink too much alcohol at the Super Bowl or it usually lasts really late, and then you've got to get up and go to work the next morning. It's like, can't we just, it'd probably be helpful for some people.
That
Or
makes so
maybe
much
just
sense.
not have as many alcoholic beverages, since we're talking about alcohol.
Yeah. I mean, do the commercials actually work on people? Like, I wonder because that's the big Super Bowl thing is the commercials, and they're always alcohol. So is that actually working on people now? Like, I'm wondering if advertising is even effective or if people are just going to drink no matter what.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. Because I feel like they even release the commercials like before they actually air. Like you can see them before the actual Super Bowl. Yeah, I think commercials really are not commercials anymore. I think commercials now are like Instagram. Instagram is the new commercial. Like that's where you go to find out what you should be buying.
Well, also, yeah, not to go down that rabbit hole, but like my attention span is totally shot as a result of Instagram. Like if it's not 15 seconds or less, I can't really pay attention anymore.
Yeah.
And I noticed that about myself. Like the social media has ruined my attention span.
Yeah. We'll put a pin in that one.
That is definitely another topic, but yeah, I think alcohol is a good one. A lot of people just wrapped up dry January or maybe damp January. A lot of people had that goal of not drinking, but I've had a number of clients in the last 6 months or even longer where we have taken alcohol out because of health reasons or because we're doing an elimination diet and, sort of do this experimental time without alcohol. And I've had a number of women say to me, like, I'm not going back. I just am not going back to alcohol. And I can relate. I mean, I don't remember the last drink I had. I don't know. Do you drink much?
So I stopped drinking back in, I think it was 2018, because of my cancer diagnosis. I was like, okay, like it had to come from somewhere. So we're going to cut that thing that is, it's a carcinogen. Like they don't want to talk about that in the commercials, but it's carcinogenic, especially for women and breast cancer. And, so much more research has come out since then. So I stopped. And then last year on my birthday, I was like, oh, I'll just have a glass of wine. So I would occasionally drink. So I say I had 3.5 years and then I took a year off. And this past early December, I was like, you know what? I am done. I'm done. Like I have my Oura ring. It shows me that on nights that I've had, it didn't matter if it was red wine, white wine, liquor. I don't drink beer, but it just totally not so much messed with my sleep, which everyone says it does. mine, it was my heart rate. Like
Yeah.
my heart rate would just be so elevated, and it would stay elevated for like 2 or 3 days after. And then if I didn't have anything, then it would be fine. And I'm like, what? It's not worth it. Like long term, like what's happening with my heart is going to impact my life. So yeah, it was, so back on the sober train. And yeah, I feel like once you've gotten past a certain point, you get that clarity of it doesn't do anything. It doesn't give you anything except maybe a headache. It's like somebody told me that you're just trading today's happiness for tomorrow's, because you're going to be on the couch all day.
Yes. And I don't know about you. I mean, having 3 kids, I learned pretty quickly, like you can't afford to have that bad day. There's just there's no way to just like sleep it off or, kind of lounge around all day, at least not in my house. But I mean, I had a similar experience. It was right at the beginning of COVID. I remember right before COVID, we had sort of what I would call the end of the world party. And we didn't know that it was the end of the world, but it was my friend's husband's 50th. And we went to Bright Box Theater. It's a really cool place. And it was just a really fun night. And I think I may have had 2 or 3 drinks early on in the night. And then I stopped. And at the time I was wearing a Fitbit, and I saw that my heart rate never dipped into that resting heart rate mode. And what that actually means is that you are not getting into that parasympathetic nervous state where you're just like at rest and digest, right? You're always in flight or fight all night. And so that's where the problem is. When you don't have that downtime, when your body doesn't have that downtime, your brain suffers, your heart suffers. And so I took that night, and then the next night I slept pretty well, and I compared the two. And I remember putting that on Facebook, and people were just floored by the difference in my sleep on those 2 nights. Now, even if I felt like I slept okay, my body was not getting the rest it needed. And, I have a lot of friends who drink wine to help them sleep. In reality, it's actually making it worse.
It's easy to fall asleep. It's harder to stay asleep. Like after I found that for me with wine, like you can knock yourself out, but then you wake up at 2 or 3, which I think has something to do with your liver and like processing, like that. They say if you wake up around 3 a.m., it's like I guess Chinese medicine thing that's signs that your liver's like working overtime.
Yeah, it's run out of that glycogen. And that's when I wake up all like sweaty and, I just have the night sweats, and my husband does too now. I mean, we're both pretty much at the point where if we're going to drink, it has to really be worthwhile. I'm not just going to like have a White Claw for no reason.
Right.
I'm going to have
6 o'clock.
Right. I'm going to have a really good quality vodka and sparkling water. I'm going to like make a nice drink that tastes good. Nothing against White Claw. I've had plenty of White Claws, but even now I'm like, I don't love it. And so, wine is a total no-go for me. And that's another thing I've seen a lot with my clients. People are not tolerating wine. And I don't know if it's age, if it's, because we're getting older and it's harder to drink, or if it's the quality of wine.
Right. Like, or whatever they're spraying on the grapes to like make them grow, or yeah.
I feel like people are having a really hard time. And my parents are big wine people. They've got, ironically, they have a wine cellar in their attic. They've got like
sense.
Temperature control in their attic. They don't have a basement, but they have gone to Argentina. They've gone on these different, wine tours in France and whatnot, and they drink really good wine. And so at Thanksgiving, I might have a glass and I don't feel bad. So part of me wonders if it's the US wine or the mass produced wine versus some of the stuff they buy. And I'm just not willing to spend. And I don't even know what, like I should ask, what am I supposed to buy? I don't know, but a lot of times
I think we don't know.
Right.
We're just like, well, this looks good at Target. Let me just put that in the cart. Yeah.
Well, I can remember a funny story. my friend is a photographer, and she took my very first headshots. Just took it. She was like, come over. I've got the stuff set up. Just come take my headshots. And I got over there and I realized I forgot my checkbook. And I was like, I'll pay you for the headshot. She's like, no, just bring me, your favorite wine. So I bought her cupcake. I'm so embarrassed now. It was my favorite wine. It was my favorite. So I brought it for her, but now I'm thinking she probably didn't get like enough on her end of the deal.
Yeah. You're like,
I sort of feel like I owe her. It's been 7 years, but I still think about that. I have an issue with not forgetting the stupid things I do. That's another episode, but
well, she's forgotten all about it.
She probably doesn't care. But yeah, I mean, the thing about alcohol is I think that there's so much emphasis on it in the mommy culture. What I have seen in the last probably 5 years is like, mommy needs wine. The only way to cope is with alcohol. And since COVID, especially, it's just been such a pacifier or, coping mechanism for so many people that I don't know if we as a society know how to function without it now.
It doesn't seem like it. I mean, just from the, the people I see on social media, it's, I think even more, probably COVID just amped it up. But I remember I was looking for a sign for my kitchen, and I was in Home Goods and TJ Maxx looking, everything was like wine o'clock, wine time, mommy's wine. It was just like, I was like, oh my God, how do I find just like a sign for my kitchen that doesn't have anything to do with wine or coffee? Like, it was like,
we need better hobbies.
Yeah.
We don't have hobbies as adults anymore. We drink coffee and then,
we switched to wine.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen so many people like make that, that reel of like, yeah. And it's like, wait a second, this is not good for us. Like, it's kind of funny, but it's not, because your body doesn't think it's funny,
Well, and it's addictive. Yeah. I mean, it is a drug.
It is, which is kind of funny that it's the one drug that you can legally purchase, and, and actually is probably the most, I've always joked about that. But it's like, everybody wants to talk about, so everyone cares about you. We care about you. Like within the past, 2.5 years, like they care. If they cared, I think they would like limit the alcohol sales, or like we would do something, alcohol destroys more families, drunk driving kills people. Like there's so much destruction that comes from this thing that we've just basically turned into nothing more than a cup of coffee. It's like,
so true.
And so many people are walking around with, wine in their Stanley cups, so it's like, wow.
Well, it's so true. And we don't realize like it is putting you at higher risk of cancer. It is impairing your estrogen detoxification. And this isn't just a problem for women. What it does for men is it actually decreases testosterone and encourages estrogen. And so that's why you end up seeing the beer belly and the moobs or the boobs, whatever you want to call them. That's what's happening. I mean, it not only is the alcohol encouraging you to hang on to fat, it's pushing pause on your fat metabolism. It's pushing pause on just you actually using the energy that you're eating as fuel for like up to 24 hours. You're only dealing with that alcohol, nothing else.
And I think that is the thing that was most shocking to me. Like when I went down in learning in the faster way, it was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like you said, alcohol is the fourth macronutrient. Well, but it's the fourth, but actually it turns into the first, because your body's not going to process anything else until it's gotten rid of that, because it's toxic. Like intoxication, it says toxic right in there.
Right.
So yeah, like your body, I mean, your body's going to survive, so of course it's going to, get rid of the thing that might kill you.
Right.
But yeah, it's like, no, we talk about this all the time, you and I privately, about how many health coaches are like, no, you can totally drink your wine. And, meanwhile, they're not saying, and I'm not like, you have to be, completely sober, but know what you're, like you said, if I'm going to drink, I'm going to do it when I know it's like an event, or I'm going to have like a really good margarita in Mexico or whatever it is. Not just it's Tuesday and I'm bored, so I'm going to drink this glass of wine and it turns into a bottle. It's just, where's that conversation?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's right
It's
here.
not fun. Yeah, exactly. It's right here. And because it's not fun to talk about that on social media. It's not fun to look at what it's actually doing to you. And I look at a lot of the health coaches that are out there promoting, oh, you can have alcohol and you can lose fat. I look at that and I feel like they're lying. I mean, quite frankly, I don't see that. I've been doing this. I've been doing this for several years now. I don't see how you can continue to drink and improve your health, improve your markers of health, improve cardiometabolic metrics. So, blood sugar, your blood pressure, cholesterol, triglycerides. I mean, triglycerides are hugely connected to alcohol consumption and carb consumption. And so if that stuff is really important to you, you do have to make hard choices. It does not fit on a regular basis. It does not fit into a healthy lifestyle. And I think one of the issues is that resveratrol, the whole push with red wine, I really feel like that it's healthy. No, like, it's not. I was thinking about actually talking more about that on social media. Like, red wine is not a health food. By far, there are probably more unintended consequences or negative side effects of drinking red wine than getting resveratrol, and even that, it's like, well, you could potentially have it in a supplement. So,
right. Like if you're really concerned about it,
right.
That would be the route to go versus, I mean, just like we were talking about earlier, like what are they spraying on these crops, on these grapes that are turning into the wine? Like, I think if there was some testing done, we'd all be very shocked.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I know for sure that California wine gives me a headache, like immediately, like while I'm drinking it, I can feel that headache coming on. So I don't drink California wines. I can barely do Virginia, but I can tell you, in Virginia, I used to work for the apple industry, so I know a little bit about growing things in Virginia. And in the Northeast, you do need to use fungicides because you are going to have those humid, it's more humid. So you need the fungicide. That stuff is going to be on the grapes. So sulfites, all of that. So yeah, I mean, I think we can probably agree that alcohol is very, like, you can have it in very limited quantities if you have health goals, but for the most part, nobody feels good when they're drinking alcohol. It increases intestinal permeability. So that means you're going to have more gut dysfunction with alcohol. And, I don't know about you, my time is just precious now. I don't want to lose sleep. I don't want to lose time. I want to wake up every day full of energy. I'm 42. I'm maybe halfway through my life. Like, I want to make it count.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now we talk about alcohol, but what I really want to talk about, I really need to know why is it that people love McDonald's Diet Coke so much?
Well, I looked it up because I am one of those people that, so like probably maybe every 3 months, I'll just be like, I want a Diet Coke. I used to be a Diet Coke, like, multiple Diet Cokes a day girl back in the zero sugar. It doesn't, everything is, or not, no, it wasn't zero sugar, fat-free, but had tons of sugar, that they didn't tell us about. So Diet Coke was like, oh, I can have Coke, and I think regular Coke's disgusting because it tastes so sweet, but only a McDonald's Coke from the fountain is the only one that I want. And so I wondered what makes it so special. Well, they say that it's because they filter their water before it goes through, because it's just basically syrup and they do the carbonated water into it. They say it's because they filter the water. Well, I'm not buying it. I feel like there's something in there. They're doing, which, my skeptical brain immediately goes to, it's probably high fructose corn syrup or something horrific, or sugar. It's even sugar because
they might lie to you. Right. I mean,
100%.
So you are not the only one. That's why I bring it up, because we're talking about alcohol, but like we could just cover all beverages.
All beverages that are terrible for you, because that's not good for you either.
No, that's not ideal. I'll be honest, even the drinking water, I moved from well to city and I can smell the chlorine, and I know that it's not good for me. So we do have a Berkey water filter, but don't you think that Coke is filtering the water that they put into the cans or to the bottles, right? So I have people who swear that the McDonald's Diet Coke, maybe even Coke, I'm not a Diet Coke person. Like if I'm going to have a Coke, it's going to be regular, but I have not one.
Probably honestly better to just have the thing.
Yeah. And since I've figured out that I'm really sensitive to corn, I have not been tempted to do that because it is basically corn. So maybe if I was in Cuba and I had like the authentic sugar, but like there's something about the McDonald's Diet Coke that people cannot give up. And I'm talking like they want it in like the ginormous size.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know
light ice. Light ice.
Light ice.
Yeah, light ice. Because I want it all.
Give me more. I don't need your stinking ice. I bet the ice is not filtered water. My guess is
probably not. I don't think that that's what it is. I think they're just lying. Well, it's just like, I remember when I was in college and somebody was doing they had done a paper, and it was about how Diet Coke is not 1 calorie. That basically that's a lie. And the profits that they make based on people thinking that it's 1 calorie massively outweighs the fine they have to pay for saying it only has 1 calorie. So, like, it's not zero impact. Like,
right.
God knows what is in there. Who knows what magic they're making the McDonald's better, because their ketchup is theirs too. Like they have special ketchup. Like I think it might be Heinz, but it's McDonald's Heinz, and it has more sugar in it. Like,
so I have a couple thoughts. Speaking of sugar, I was having a conversation with a client. They own a trucking company. They sent trucks to this sugar processing facility, and the truck drivers were like, we're never eating sugar again, because they were literally driving over the sugar in the factory. This sugar has been all over the floor. It's all over the place.
Sweeping it up.
They're putting it in the back. They're having to shovel it into the back of this, truck bed. And that's what's going on with our sugar. And, I tell a lot of people, okay, we want to skip refined processed sugar, and I'm okay with maple syrup and honey. But when it comes to sugar, there is something about it that's inflammatory. And when you think that it's been in a factory exposed to all those fumes, the trucks are just driving over it. Like, who knows what is really in that sugar? It's probably being bleached to be white. And then, so you're avoiding sugar, but then that artificial sweetener, it plays tricks with your brain. And I really think that
you want more.
It makes you want more. It increases your sugar cravings. And I often have people who want to lose weight, and are just doing all the artificial sweeteners because that's what Weight Watchers told them to do. And they are not losing weight. And I do think there's a chemical imbalance. There's research on this, it affects your brain chemicals. It affects the sweets that you want. And so just, like skip the artificial sweeteners, skip the sugar, skip the McDonald's Diet Coke.
That's why I let myself do it every so often, because if I did that all the time, I would 100% be addicted to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is addicting. And that is by design.
100%.
I mean,
well, they want you. And I think that's whatever they're doing to it is 100% on purpose. Same with the ketchup. Like, if you can choose Chick-fil-A or McDonald's, like, they want you to be like, oh no, I want that Diet Coke from McDonald's. So, I mean, I do think there's definitely some chemical engineering happening over there.
It's pretty gross when we think about what's happened to our food.
Yeah.
You know, you try not to go. I mean, I want to be able to eat. I try not to get too wrapped up in food quality, because I'm human. I have 3 kids. I got to feed my family. You know, I have to make hard choices. I can't always be choosing organic. I'm not growing, you know, enough food. I will say I have 2 indoor grow gardens that are, I'm like practically a farmer, but not quite producing enough to sustain us yet. So I have to make hard choices, and it's hard because I do feel like we just get a lot of junk now. We get a lot of junk. So you got to do the best you can and just pick the best foods you can, and really try to limit the artificial stuff, limit the alcohol. You know, who knows what they're putting in the alcohol?
It can't be good.
No, I don't feel good when I drink it. So I know that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, now that we have rained on everybody's parade, I mean, we pretty much told them this weekend.
No more Diet Coke.
I have clients who will be like, I saw your social media post about alcohol on a Friday. You're so awful. Like you're ruining my
Friday before Super Bowl. Like, thanks so much for ruining my weekend.
Right.
But you know, knowledge is power, right?
It is. And
you know,
making informed choices, informed consent, right? Like having informed consent about these things we're putting in our bodies is so important right now. So as long as you know what you're eating and what you're choosing to eat, if you make that choice, own it, be okay with it, enjoy that drink, enjoy the Diet Coke, and then be done, you know, move on. Don't dwell on it. Just really, it's establishing those good habits that over time, you don't really want that stuff anymore. And I think that's where you find, okay, that's how I kick the habit, is replacing it with better habits. Drinking the water,
yes,
the activity, the fruits and vegetables and protein, all that.
Finding a replacement, I think is good. And not necessarily, you know, it's like that good, better, best thing. Like maybe it's not the perfect thing, but it's better than the thing you were doing.
Yeah.
And slowly move on.
Up those stairs, like getting up the stairs till you get to the best choice for you. And, you know, we always want everything to happen like the next day. Like, we're like, I'm going to be healthy and I ate healthy today, and tomorrow I expect to see results. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I know. This Amazon Prime thing has really messed us up, where we think we need, you know, it was always bad, but I feel like now it's like, my kid's terrible. Like, what do you mean? I have to wait until tomorrow to get this toy that I want? It's like, do you realize when I grew up, I had to wait like 2 weeks for it to come, like from the Montgomery Ward catalog. Yeah.
Well, even Amazon can't keep up now. Even Amazon's like, I think we overshot, because now they can't deliver anything. I don't have Prime anymore, but I know I'm hearing it's not the next day, unless you live in a bigger place than we do. But yeah, I mean, we used to write letters and like dial, like I had a rotary phone. Like, think of how much time was spent dialing on a rotary phone. And now I don't know anybody's phone number. I'm just like, your name, you know, that's, it's kind of, I'd like to get back to the old way of doing things a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely another, put a pin in that one. That's another conversation we can get into, that whole thing.
We're broadcasting from our commune.
Sending up smoke signals.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll wrap up for today, but hopefully the takeaway is, you know, just be informed, make good choices, make the best choice you can. It's not always going to be the best choice, but make the best choice you can. And look, guys, drinking alcohol is not going to get you closer to your health and weight loss goals. It's just not.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep it real here.
San Pellegrino in a wine glass. That's my recommendation.
Yes.
Makes you feel like you're having something,
and nobody else has to know. We're always worried about like, what are they going to think? And
put a lime in there. People think you got a gin and tonic.
Yeah. And once they're on their third, they don't know.
Yeah, they really won't know.
They really don't care what you're drinking.
They won't know who won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell them whoever, make a bet with them. And then the next day, tell them whoever was your team won.
Yeah. Yeah. When we figure out the names of the teams that are playing, that was my team. Yeah. All right. We'll wrap it up for today, but thanks for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode.
Bye.